Hello and welcome to this week's Gems of War Guild Event Planner. I am Guardian Namek, Guild Leader of Loot and Plunder. This week's focus is the World event, but I finally figured out the name. It is not the Lore event. And we are using Daemons. I wasn't sure if we were going to be using Daemons or Blighted Lands, but seems to be Daemons in the whiter. After running some numbers, here are some of the units you want to use. So this is the team I plan on using. I'm going to be using Wrath, Infernal Voyager, Marileth, and the Cauldron weapon. Wrath is kind of the key thing, not even necessarily super key, but very useful as he gets to turn blue to brown to charge himself back up, yellow to skulls, and Enrage, which is nice against enemies that have like stone skin and such. Burns, but that's very minor. But more importantly, once I get his third talent, is that he explodes 2 random gems when he does skull damage. So theoretically, he'll also be charging himself back up, even more so. And I'm hoping it'll be a good feedback loop. I'm also going to be using the Infernal Voyager, who has Empowered once I get the trade in. Converts all blue to skulls, which allows me to just, right out the gate, just go punching. So I'm hoping it'll be a nice fast team. And then Marileth, as before, when we've used her with the Naga team, or Mr. Scales, I don't actually remember which at this point. She deals a little bit of true damage, she destroys half the board, and gets a little bit of attack. More importantly, she's become a mana generator, and a very effective one at that. I'm also going to use my Cauldron, as it gives some life, but more importantly, doubles their attack. So it might not be really too important, but I'm like, this is mostly skull based, I want to buff up the skulls. I might switch to a skull making weapon. I also might just go back to the good old tried and true explode the board. But it definitely is a free spot for my team. Now, if you're looking for some other options, here's some other good troops to use. Now let's look at the damage first. The Incubus from Blighted Lands is quite powerful due to the fact that they get a charm to random enemies. If you think about it, having Wrath do 64 points of damage, Charm does damage to both sides of the unit, meaning that's going to be roughly 128. The Incubus is doing 2 of those, could easily get to around 256 points of damage. And it's going to scale really well because as enemies gain more and more attack, the charm will end up doing more damage. Only limiting factor is if you get an edge character, they're only doing half that. And once some of the enemies have died, you might not be doing any damage. But for at least the brunt force of just mass damage, the Incubus is incredibly powerful. I just like punching things more than spellcasting. That is about the only reason I'm not using the Incubus. And then the Succubus isn't really a damage character, but they're both forms of succubi or incubi. I actually don't know what the fancy demonology term for incubuses and succubuses, but whatever. They're 2 sides of a coin. The succubus gets to drain mana and put Deathmark on the target, which you aren't going to be draining 40 mana. I don't think I know of a unit that takes 40 mana. However, you're probably going to do about 15 mana, because I don't think we'll see any mythics with 20, 24, 30 mana. We might. Actually, we will, because some of them are mythics. But still not going to be too useful, but if you want to mess around with it, go right ahead. That's what testing is for. And being able to drain mana is actually quite nice, because it's basically like, oh, you're going to do this super powerful thing. No, you're not. And the Succubus has a fairly low mana cost. Now, on to some other damage. We have a Nearmill, who is from the Delve Below Karkaroth, they get to do 40 true heavy splash damage. So that's effectively 80, 100, actually, yeah, about 100 points of true splash damage, or not splash damage, true damage over the entire splash effect. It is incredibly powerful. Now, it does say boosted by stone blocks. You can probably add 18 points of damage to that initial value, which is a good amount, as every time he's going to explode all the stone blocks that are on the field. However, that's still going to be 3, and that's still going to be roughly 50%, probably closer to a 40% damage increase. So they get to do a lot of damage. I was also very tempted to use them, but I wanted to punch things instead. So this is another wonderful unit to use, and if you don't have them, you can probably get them fairly easily by going down to the Durgoth's Delve and getting them yourself. Now, another damage option is going to be Scion from Darkstone. They get to do 42 true scatter damage and drain some mana from all that enemies hit. We can also use Death, who gets to do scatter damage, just normal scatter damage, boosted by half his life, and he also gets to steal life at the start of each turn. He also death marks everyone, can be good or useless, just depends if it triggers or not. For the mana generation, we have a few different options. You can utilize Helgor the Guardian, as he gets to create 1 to 3 red mana potions, which if they match, they generate like 6 or 8 mana gems, and very easily can just like, hello, the board is now red, you have now collected it, and everyone who uses red is now charged. Oh look, he uses red? Well, let's do it again. So it is sometimes a bit RNG if, things actually will play nice, but as long as the potions go out and get matched, you can just kind of instantly get all your mana back, extra turn, all that kind of fun stuff. He also acts as a pretty decent tank. There is also Surzinabog, who gets to create 10 brown gems. These do not match, and then explodes pretty much the board. It isn't guaranteed to get everything, but you're most likely going to with 33 gems. He is very effective because 1, he just destroys or explodes gems in general. He also creates 10 brown, so there's going to be a lot more brown on the field. So if you're utilizing brown, like say for Surzinabog as a feedback loop, you get more brown on the field. And oh wait, what's this? There's also his third trait, which conjures a dust storm when his turn begins. So it's always a dust storm. So when you're exploding or removing the board in some form, there's going to be a lot of brown falling, which has a good tendency to give you an extra turn. And, well, he's charged up, so he can do it again. And if you utilize him as a charger, he can easily get anyone else to be fully charged, whether it's a few times in one turn or just, someone else using brown. You can end up charging them up very effectively. Now, if you're looking for some more skull busters, the Infernal King gets to convert green to skulls and then brown to red and deals some scatter damage. That's really the minor thing. He gets to basically do a bunch of skulls and charge someone else up. Like if you're using the Infernal Voyager, he gets to help charge up the Infernal Voyager, who then can turn blue to skulls. And it's a nice cycle of skull busting. You can also utilize the Corrupted Urska for more skulls. They get to explode a gem like a golem does, and enrages the random ally for every purple gem destroyed. Create 6 skulls. It's not a lot of skulls. You probably will end up giving your enemy a skull match as well, but you probably will get a skull match of your own. And the nice thing is the enrage a random ally for every purple, because then you can easily enrage your team, which enrage gives you more damage, and you get to ignore the enemy traits. Now, if you are looking for a tank or extra durability, the Hellstone Gate is quite effective as it gets to gain some armor. It's pervious, stone skin, all that kind of fun stuff as a tank. And then it gives barrier to all Daemons, which is incredibly effective. So it's quite nice to have if you're needing the extra durability. But I don't plan on needing the extra durability, but the option is out there. I hope this info was helpful for both starting and veteran players of Gems of War. If it was helpful to you, give that subscribe button a click and hit the like button, as I plan on doing these every Monday, both to help my guild and for fun. Until next week, have fun plundering.